but somebody lives out there in the family.
How are you guys?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, cheap California gas prices.
They did. I was, yeah.
Haven't played yet.
They played tomorrow night. It's kind of a place.
First four.
Pigtail game, yeah.
Who do they play against?
Indiana.
Indiana.
Ooh, Hoosiers, huh?
And the Big Ten got way over.
He's been there 2 years.
9.
All right, I better make that thing quiet and then I better strike the gavel.
Crossing the state line.
Don't just hush there, Mr. Fun.
No, you need is a phone.
Teacher. That's in case we need to get them all.
In case we need to call Drew. Ground control to Major Tom. All right, I will call the meeting to order. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Rocking your wheel.
I don't know what happened there.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please take roll?
Councilman Madsen. Councilman Montoya.
Here.
Councilman Fritz.
Here.
Councilman Race.
Here.
Mayor Graves.
Here. All right, you have before you an agenda. Would make one amendment to it. On F, number 3, we need to add the 2022 pavement maintenance project and notice of award for the airport.
Striping or
Pavement maintenance project, I think, is the official term. And then notice of award for the contract. Are there any other amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve agenda as amended.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion will carry. You also have before you the consent agenda. For the purpose of discussion, I would entertain a motion to approve and place to record the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda. A second.
Is there further discussion?
Well, you certainly filled up record time.
Yes, we did.
Is that satisfy my own curiosity? Is it required by law to publish the whole
Remember, I sent to them, and it's still required.
ordinance,
The final reading.
final reading?
Yeah. You can do the ones by the other stuff, but Candy called me on the same thing. And
It was an entire.
I know.
It's like it stop a
that's why you try not to do huge,
I know.
but sometimes you have to.
That answered that question.
It would be a good thing for the legislature to address. It costs a lot of money,
They
especially in today's world where you,
They tried.
I know
I don't know that they tried in this session or not.
it was a budget session, but
Yeah.
With Alan not being here, I'm just shoving more stuff over that way. I'll try to leave your space alone, Donnie.
All right.
In your vouchers, look like you bought some welding supplies from Norco. If you need help, we buy welding supplies all the time. You know who has best prices and where you might be able to get it across the street. Down. You're doing some tennis court repair? Is that?
That's pickleball court.
I wondered if that was the
Yeah.
pickleball. Okay.
Got the
we
final
still-
ceiling and all that.
Yeah, we gotta put the seal in, paint the stripes. Platte Valley Bank is buying some benches. We need to get those installed and then some signage.
How is Wheatland doing relative to our fuel contract? Yeah, has he fed back anything to you
I
guys
haven't
about?
heard anything from her. I did hear from Superior,
Yeah, I saw that.
but no, I haven't heard from them, and that invoice probably wouldn't show yet, the increase.
I just wondered if he called you to give you a heads up on something.
No, I haven't heard from him.
I think our budget session is going to be hard. Got the same message from WCDA.
Was it exactly the same?
No, I called them and talked to them directly, and they couldn't tell me anything. They won't tell me.
Yeah, they won't say.
There's something going on.
Something's going on.
So, relative to 16th Street, probably figure out what we need to do. And
Mhm. On 16th Street, the mayor and a few department heads, water, electric, streets. John Wetstein, we attended a meeting with the engineers. It was a good meeting. It was just with the engineers and a lot of YDOT employees. A lot of YDOT employees were there, and we just kind of, they answered, asked questions about lighting, and so, can you answer that? We discussed the water and sewer, and that it was a good meeting.
There's a lot of, like, the development of the scope, who's gonna do what, it was enlightening in a lot of ways, because I think the engineer's number may come down some, knowing that the town departments are gonna try to take responsibility and ownership of parts of the project. And so, there may be some adjustments that come out of that meeting, was my thought. That, and I took a lot of grief from my ultimate big boss, because was I there as an elected official or as a YDOT employee, or he gave me grief over that several times, didn't he?
which hat are you wearing? When was that?
I don't know, several weeks ago.
You said your server crashed?
Yes, it did.
Bad crash? You had to
It's
swap
done.
out?
It's
done.
And so he put in a temporary, and we have one ordered.
But
Or
all
he's getting quotes, actually.
backups were
The,
secure and all that?
yes,
You don't lose any data
we
on
didn't lose anything.
Excel or whatever the thing is.
Cause no, we didn't lose anything.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Well, that's a good test of the system. You don't want to have it tested that way. But
All the places to
Candy, where are we at with Banner Health? Is anything in?
I haven't heard anything from Banner Health. I've left a couple messages and sent some emails because I don't no longer get their dispatch reports either. So, but I haven't heard anything.
So that whole thing we went through is still kind of
Yeah.
dangling out there.
I haven't heard anything.
Kind of open loop. They're still paying whatever, the dollar or whatever it is.
They've never paid that $1.
Really? Okay.
Not that I know of. Do you know of them ever paying $1? When they first got it, they paid $1.
Okay. All right, I'm just curious.
We haven't actually installed any AMIs yet. We're just receiving them.
We're just starting. The surveyors came in and they found the locations for the poles for the collectors. And so they're putting up, I think, 2 new poles for that. And we're just starting to get the meters in. Just starting. Yeah.
You actually ran into them at
I knew they would be there.
They had a booth and
let's see, Border States had a reception one night that we went to, which is the vendor we buy the meters from. And then Landis and Gear had a reception the other night. So we went to that. So yeah, I visited with them both times.
Cool.
I got some training next to the REA, I guess.
You got some training?
Yeah, I received some training while I was there. It's good.
And our tractor and mower did finally
Tractor and mower here.
come. Good.
That's the airport.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we can use it anywhere, but the
Can use it
main
anywhere?
focus is the airport.
I didn't think we could use it anywhere.
Excuse me?
I didn't think we could use it anywhere other
We
than,
didn't
that's right.
use CARES Act funds or
Okay, that's what
FAA
it was.
funds.
If we
We
put
used
CARES Act, it would have been tied there. Okay.
The chief's little report about the incident.
Bumgars.
Exciting. Riveting.
Yeah.
That's neat. I mean, that's good.
Well, we actually found one when we got all the property tax. That's good.
It's one of those see something, say something,
Yeah.
actually works.
Just, somebody who likes to watch out the window is really.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Thought it was strange, and gave it a call, it worked out good.
That's fantastic. Amazing.
That was pretty good.
You had a comment for Drew. It's warm.
what does this say?
Yeah. Worked out good.
Good. Anything from Wampa we should be paying attention to? Or?
I think, they're gonna probably change their billing to energy. They're gradually doing that. If you've been reading it, they've been talking about energy. I think Candy and the girls had a session on how they're gonna start billing us differently. And we've been talking to have another rate study because we've changed that, because the billing's gonna change. And so the quote was a little high because they already did it, and they were coming back in at almost the same price as the last time.
Okay.
So I don't know where Rosemary's at on that. And then we were trying to hook it in so that towns would have a little study on that too. But it's going to change. I think the overall rate remains the same. It's just how you bill it and when you use it and stuff. And I think these smart meters may help in the long run.
I hope so.
No, but from the standpoint, I think as you get more product out there, I think time of day can be determined also. if you watch the literature, a lot of towns say if you do your laundry from 9 to 11, or if you, like Wheatland's cut theirs down because we pump our water at a different time than when the peak is.
Well, every once in a while, they'll just send us an email saying, what's your usage today during this time and this time, so we have wells, or Rick,
Wampa does?
yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because they're just monitoring it right now, so Rick will go shut down the wells so they don't run during that period, just so we can watch the demand.
The demand.
And then Rick's done a good job. I think Wheatland's one of the best ones in the set of communities, just because of the storage that we have to store our water, which we can then move our pumping time. So that will help with the Townsville. So that's what's going to come down, is just how I think the town at some point is going to probably have to change how they bill people too.
All set up for that, right? The water tower at Black Mountain still not, it's still leaking.
Still spraying.
Forming icicle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Had some good
A
icicles.
lot of ice.
All the way down. We, back in my previous career, we used to have to worry about the icicle forming out the side of the shuttle as we were dumping wastewater. We used to have a big old icicle sticking out. It's not good.
No.
Well, is there any further discussion on the consent agenda items? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion will carry. Moving on to petitions, memorials, proclamations, and public comments. We have number 1, Glenn White.
With Glenn White here.
I do not recognize or.
I have something if you doesn't show up.
Well, the floor is yours.
Okay. I had a couple questions. Feral cats in Wheatland have been getting a little out of hand. And is it chapter 6, section 6 of the code that covers animals? There's something in there that says basically we trap them, we fix them, we clip their ears so we know they're fixed, and then we re-release them in the same area. Is there anybody that actually does that?
We've hired it.
We have done that in the past, yes.
Okay, we might need to think about hiring it to be done again.
It's pretty expensive.
They're getting out of control.
Sorry, you could go ahead and finish, and then I have something to say.
And also the flags that are flying up in front of town hall. They're missing about 3 or 4 inches off of each one. They've been tattered in wind and everything else. And I was wondering, how bad do we let it get before we actually change them out?
So, Mr. Butler, something like that, you can just call me.
Okay.
Or call up here and let us know.
We have a couple times about the flags
Okay.
before, and the police station every now and again. I noticed last month they took theirs down because they were looking so bad, and then I guess when we got new ones, you put them back up.
Yeah, we try to keep some on hand to put them back up.
Yeah, I know the wind around here is just vicious on that kind of stuff, but if they don't look right, then we probably shouldn't fly them.
And then on the feral cats, Tabitha we've done lots of research on it, really can't find anybody to come in and take care of it. The local vets are not wanting to do this. And there is, I think it's Critters Inc. She comes over from Guernsey and traps and spades, neuters, and then releases just as on her own. So we know that that is happening, but it's not that we know it's an issue. We know it's an issue. We just aren't.
We talked about it last month after this meeting broke up. It was like,
I was wondering if it was going to be brought up because I didn't
Yeah.
hear it.
We haven't found a good solution.
Didn't we do that one company out of Colorado?
we did, and but I don't think we did more than like 30 something cats.
No, they did 500, I think, didn't they?
We contracted with them for 500, but they ended up,
Well, and then it was people from the county were bringing their cats in, and leaving them for her to take and fix, and
Yeah,
it's a
people take advantage of.
major issue.
And I'm not, and the other part of it is, you have a lot of people that go around town and feed those animals. I mean, it's,
You have people that come in from out of town just to
Well,
feed the
I
cats.
can tell you that company we hired, I called them and I said, we have this one person that feeds these cats. And they said, we know, we just sent her a pallet of cat food. And a pallet is a lot of cat food.
That might have matched her a week.
Okay, that's all I had, thank you.
Ron White's, is that what he was gonna? I don't know.
There's like 3 cats living right back here.
Well, Merlin, floor's yours now. If you have anything for us.
I'd like to echo that gentleman's sentiments about these wild cats.
Yeah.
They, I have a kitty litter box that's my entire backyard.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to trap them and relocate them out in the county?
Hell no.
Yeah, I was gonna say, no way. Better not do that.
As long as you're not caught, Merlin.
You doing it then? Sorry, Mike.
I know whose place you're taking.
Yeah, mine for a while. On economic development, though, I'll get back on track here. I was asked a question about how I arrived at my assertion that one of our biggest problems in the town of Wheatland is housing and workforce, as to why we can't attract businesses into town. And I just wanted to explain that a little bit, how I arrived at that. That's in Economic Development 101, a class I took when I first started this job, that's identified as the 2 major reasons that any community can't attract businesses is housing and workforce. We're working on workforce development with the Workforce Center. Attended myriad meetings and I don't see any progress there, but maybe the legislature now, they've allotted some money for workforce training for adults that want to go back and learn a new trade or a new skill or a new skill set. Housing, the problem with housing is the cost of housing. If anybody's tried to do any remodels or build a new house recently, your estimates are out the window. You can't afford to build a house that anybody can afford to buy. Lack of infrastructure really causes, that's why you don't have anybody developing a new housing centers, anything that can't afford the infrastructure and build the house and then sell it, because we don't have the workforce that can afford that kind of housing is limited. This isn't a problem that's just Wheatland's. Every town in Wyoming has the same problem, housing and workforce. And that's just part of the game. It's who came first, the chicken or the egg, which you fixed. When the power plant came to Wheatland, we had industrial siting council money to help build suitable housing for all the workers and all the new employees at the power plant. And that helped. We don't have that luxury unless we're gonna build some multi-million-dollar facility, and I don't see any of those on the horizon for Wheatland anyway. I don't know what else to say about that. This isn't something that I just made up or dreamed up. This is what's drilled into us through the Wyoming Economic Development Association and from the Wyoming Business Council. These are our 2 major problems. Then you get into internet on down the road, roads, railroads, airports, all of that. But we're pretty well fixed there. It's our biggest problems here in Wheatland are housing and workforce development. On a bright note, I understand that Getty's Body Shop out there on Pontoon Road has been sold.
Really?
And we'll know more about that soon.
Good. Thank you, Merlin. Is there any other public comment at this time? Yes, Mr. Pyle?
My name is George Weil, was chairman of planning and zoning here in Wheatland, now I'm vice chairman. You guys voted on Jarvis Wyndham, I believe in the January meeting. We thought, as per our meeting we had before yours, I had made a mention that we need to get him confirmed, voted on by you guys for planning and zoning. Well, somehow when it got to you, he got voted on for, what is it called, the Board of Adjustments. And Jarvis is really disgruntled over that. And all I wanted to do is ask the council and the mayor, if you guys could reconsider that, revote that. He wants to be on planning and zoning and not Board of Adjustments. He'd been an alternate for a little over a year, I think. And he'd been to a lot of our meetings, but we just didn't get him confirmed as a full-time member. We had some spots.
I also had a good conversation with Jarvis, and one of my takeaways in the conversation was there was a personification out there about some negativity, and after spending some time visiting with Mr. Wyndham, I think there's the potential that his verbiage was taken out of context. I think he used the term "I don't care," and people mistakenly, blanketly thought that he just didn't care. When in fact, after visiting with him in depth for well over an hour, what his "I don't care" was in reference to was more government overreach and a personification of planning and zoning and Board of Adjustments, and people that are newcomers, they're met with resistance rather than the "what can we do to help you succeed" mentality. And his "I don't care" was in reference to getting rid of the government overreach that creates that wall and being more warm and welcoming and asking for, what we can do to help you succeed attitude. And so I also would echo that sentiment that, would ask the council to entertain the thought of reconsidering of moving him from Board of Adjustments to Planning and Zoning. Also in my conversation with Jarvis, I asked him to be here tonight in case the council had questions for him, and he came. But he gave me a little background of, 70 plus years of living here and 50 plus years of being a businessman here, and never having had to move his office, didn't understand the challenges until he got involved with the community service aspect of it, and really finds himself quite engaged with the process and feels like he's got a lot to lend to it, and kind of reinvigorated him youth-wise to feel like there was more to life than just number crunching. So I would ask the council the same question, if they would be interested in moving him from Board of Adjustments to Planning and Zoning.
Mayor, at this time, planning and zoning membership is full except for 2 alternate positions. And moving them from Board of Adjustments will leave them 1 short. But we can,
Do we have a new one, Candy?
on Board of Adjustments,
No, B and Z.
yes. She's been voted in as a member. I mean, we'd have
Who's that?
that Liz Fiskey.
We switched.
She was at the workshop last week.
Said that originally Jarvis's application was Board of Adjustments, and I think there was some confusion all along there, and Jarvis ended up actually being on the alternate list of P and Z.
Right.
And has been for a long time.
There was a switch.
And so I think we operated on the recommendation of the people involved with these 2 meetings, or running these 2 meetings. And I think we thought we did the right thing, but Jarvis said, no, that's not what I wanted, so.
Can I speak for myself?
Absolutely.
First off, I want to thank everybody for putting up with me. Wheatland's been an interesting thing, and I've been trying to get on planning and zoning for over 20 years. And I've been an alternate, and here's a list of them, for at least about 6-7 months. And I understood that the alternates were supposed to be gone as soon as one dropped off, somebody in the planning and zoning, that the alternates be moved on. But I want to go back with a little bit of history with me. And I've been blessed by this town. I was involved years and years ago with the Industrial Development Committee here. when the power plant got started, I worked with Bill Addison and some other ones, and we romanced the people to bring the power plant to Wheatland. And so from the other side of the coin, I've been involved in the development, like Arlen said, in housing and workforce development, the development of Black Mountain, and how we put that whole project together. But more than that, I was involved with Ray Fertig's a personal friend of mine. And Ray has built over 1,000 houses in Wheatland. But he's also getting old. He's still alive, 85. And we did a lot of things together when I moved my office, second office out there at his building. First off, with the rental places over the top of it. We didn't have computers. We didn't have copy machines. We didn't have faxes. Everything had to be done bookkeeping, one line at a time, spreadsheets and stuff. And so then we moved over where Alice Parts was at, and I had a back office there, and we did it. But what did we do when we were doing that? Well, we developed the Northwest Allison addition and built those houses, and we developed the country club up here, addition up here. But prior to that, I covered a long line of contractors. My granddad was Frank, that's my middle name. And he built, and along with some of the other people, the courthouse and Methodist church and the library, and there was about 8 or 9 people and contractors that did that. And then later on, then they had the 27 grade school that they built, and it was one of the plans. So my family's been involved. So with my father, when he started building here in Wheatland, everything from South Street to the country club was vacant except for a couple of odd buildings there. And Dad bought a bunch of that land, and he donated the city block to the hospital in 1953 and started developing some of those things there. I've been on the other side of the fence for a long time, coming from the meetings and things like that, and putting together the country club edition, the North Fertig edition, and Chuck Creek Estates, and all the Fertig wives that were named after the streets out in Chuck Creek Estates, Loretta and Darlene, his relative. And they're out there in that area. And I did a lot of the blueprints and a lot of the plans along with Ray to submit to the zoning, which was sketchy at the time, and we did a lot of development. But we presented this. We not only have that development, we had a Gloyd edition. I don't know what they call it now, where Bob Shepard farmed, the other side of Cherry Hill Farm. And that whole section is a whole planning thing, and it's plattered, it's in your stuff for growth and development. So I've been involved in it a long time. And I wanted to get on this committee. I keep feeling like I get shoveled off of it. And I would really appreciate it if you guys would either put me on it or tell me to go home, and I'll still develop Wheatland. I'll still help the young people, and I'll still help the people get into business and do the things I've been doing for about 51 years in my office. Thank you for your time. I don't mind speaking for myself.
Well, I don't have a problem with that at all, putting them on there. I just thought when we voted on that, I thought it was per your wishes or,
I felt like I was sandbagged on that.
Yeah, just for some reason, I remember that night when we voted on that. It was just like, okay, this is what your wishes or whose wishes, I don't know. But we just thought we were doing the right thing at the time.
About a year ago, I wanted to get on the planning and zoning committee, went out front and I talked to the guys up there, and they handed me a sheet of paper and they said, well, we don't have any room on planning and zoning right now, but you might go ahead and get on board of adjustments and then on it. But I've attended most of the planning and zoning meetings as an alternate anyway. And this was handed to me, the last planning and zoning meeting we had, and I was still an alternate. But I understood as an alternate, we were supposed to move into planning and zoning as soon as you had a confirmation for it. But maybe I'm wrong.
So but the boards are full at the moment?
Well, as of the last meeting, so now we, planning and zoning, Amy would be here tonight, but we didn't know this was happening. But, so the planning and zoning commission board is filled, but there's 2 alternate vacant seats. Board of adjustments is full with Jarvis on it, but if we move Jarvis over, then we'll have a vacancy on board of adjustments.
And I would resign on board of adjustments instantly Cause I can't be on both.
I guess I would table it until next month when we can find out what Amy has, what the staff's input is. I mean, I'm not comfortable voting on something cold.
No.
But I appreciate you coming up, and
Thank you for your time.
I would call you or
If I can
something
serve
later.
you guys, I perceive that I work for you. I perceive that I'm on a planning and zoning committee. I don't work for Amy, I don't work for Drew, I don't work for the other things, but I work for the pleasure of the city council. And, I'm willing to do it for that. The pay isn't very good, but I'm quite willing to work for you guys. But if you don't want me there, I'll still help Wheatland anyway. So it's been my lifetime goal.
Understand?
Thanks.
Thank you, Jarvis.
Mr. White showed up.
I don't know,
No, he's part of planning. He's part of the.
okay. All right. So we still didn't have a Mr. White show up. So are there any other public comments at this time? Moving on to unfinished business. Item number 1, ordinance 837. WMC building codes on third and final reading.
Mayor, I can get the building inspector Drew on the phone if needed, if you'd like me to get him on the phone. Otherwise, last meeting, there were no changes.
For the sake of discussion, move to approve 837 on third reading.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion?
Yeah. Maybe we should get him on the phone. I do have issues, regarding the automatic sprinkler systems for townhouses. I don't think that's necessary. And I'd like to see that changed, if it can be changed.
I believe it can be, yes.
That's what I understood from Drew last time, that should be taken out, but we didn't for some reason. According to Mr. Kowski, that the building costs, we got some prices on building costs just for sprinkler systems. It adds another $1.50 a square foot.
$1.35.
$1.35 a square
But still.
foot.
I'd ask you to try to get a quote from one of the local.
Say,
Yeah.
Maybe
See if
stale.
They could quote you, a sprinkler system for a 2,400 square foot twin home. I don't think you're gonna come anywhere near that figure. I mean, I'm not a contractor, I don't think.
Nobody in town, from what I understand, that is certified with this.
Phoenix Fire Protection would probably be the closest.
Phoenix out of
Cheyenne, Rapid City.
But it's my understanding, and I think legal counsel confirmed that we can go ahead and pass this ordinance on third reading with striking that verbiage for the elimination of the automatic sprinkler system in the townhomes.
Right, and personally, and I don't know what your guys' opinion on it, but I think we need to strike that. I don't think we need it there.
Change the language to make it discretionary at the builder.
That's what it
I
should
mean,
be.
if they choose to.
There you go.
That's what it
Yeah.
should be.
It should be.
We have two sections that he's got voluntary in here. It says chapter 11. It's the residential energy efficiency requirements. It says shall be considered voluntary. Previous to this, we kind of that's kind of word salad. Chapter 11 is voluntary. It's voluntary to design to the minimum energy efficiency standards. And then section P2904, it's voluntary for the design and installation of residential fire sprinklers, which I think maybe the same language should go over to that one.
Yep, I agree.
Yep, I agree. That would be that section 903.2.8, correct?
Said what it would be was section 313.1. covers townhomes, so it would be.
What was that again, Candy?
So on two, if we, 2E, say, we do section 313.1, and then what wording we wanted. Because 313.1 is townhomes. And townhomes are 3.
Okay,
Oh,
so
so we're-
2DE.
313.1 is townhome,
Yes,
so we need to make, we need to add a
we need to add a
subsection.
Yeah.
Because that, we were thinking Group R was your,
Yeah.
over in 4 International Fire Code.
No, he said 2, and then he suggested we change the letters and make that E,
Add E.
Oh, I got
After
you.
D, add E.
section 313.1.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, we'd have to add or move E up after D and then change that to F, E, H, and I.
But that's all under residential code,
Yes.
as opposed to fire code.
Yes.
So we would say we have a new letter E, section 313.1 shall be or is voluntary. Let's call that for now.
Yep, is voluntary.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna renumber E to F, F to G, et cetera,
Mhm.
H. We're gonna, the new G is gonna say chapter 11 is voluntary
Yep,
Or
strike
does-
shall be considered.
for design,
Take out considered.
right? And then the new GHI, I guess, the very last one, section P2904
Mhm.
is voluntary. And it was just, my concern was more about shall be considered. It's just the words, it's kind of grammar, and it's voluntary. So maybe I should have started my motion with move to approve with pending changes.
You can make a friendly
Friendly
amendment.
Please accept a friendly amendment to accept the changes we just discussed.
Tony?
Second.
All right, is there any further discussion on word salad? Bill's term?
That's Kamala Harris's term. That's her description. She's the master of word salad.
Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion will carry. Moving on to Cinema West 2, Heather and Curtis.
Thank you.
Cinema West Dos. What's that in Spanish? Cinema West.
Those.
Well, we are moving forward with several different things. I believe you guys got receipts. New flooring has been purchased. The paint has been purchased. We're going to change out the ceiling tiles just to make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing inside the building before we open. So I believe you guys have, we were able to email those receipts to Candy this morning. Of the $5,000 line item budget that you guys had set out for the theater, that was $4,008. One of the things we did dig into is we did get quotes to have the flooring installed, which was going to be about $4,800 just for the floor itself. So we're going to do that work ourselves, save some money both directions there a little bit. A couple of things that should make you happy. The remote access system for the projector. we were able to run across some old invoices. We found the company that actually installed that projector, and we contacted them. Their remote access system was only $500 and not $1,200.
Wow.
So we've got that set up. He sent us something out and it said quote on it, and I sent it to Candy, not even thinking about it. And then I called him and said, I need something that says invoice. So you guys will be seeing that here hopefully soon. So the only thing that we would kind of ask for your guys' consideration, part of that 700 that's left on that we're not going to spend on the remote system. One of the things I'd like to do is get rid of those fluorescent lights and put something in there that's a little bit more economical to run, like LED lights. And in just digging through I haven't done all the research yet, but we're going to be looking at right around $1,000 to $1,200 just to buy the lights to replace those fluorescent lights. So I do know that LEDs are a little cheaper. They don't use quite as much electricity, and they last quite a bit longer. And pretty much every bulb in the place has been changed out to LEDs with the exception of those. So if, with your guys' approval, we'd like to, that would be like the last aesthetic change that we'll be making at this time anyway. I think moving forward, there's going to be some other things in the years to come, but that would be one thing that we would ask for. The electrical has been done. We went through, did our walkthrough. Candy and Drew went back and did a walkthrough. So we had a list of a few things, and all of those things have been addressed. And Candy and Drew should be commended for how quickly they acted and took care of those things. So.
I personally wouldn't have any problem with that.
Okay. We can move forward and get some more pricing from a few different vendors just to make sure we're doing it as cost effectively as we possibly can. But I think it's a good idea to.
All within the current fiscal year budget though, right?
It's still within, you saved here and it's been there, so
Yeah.
I don't have a problem. Should be.
We're already gonna have to amend the budget because we only have 1,000
Right.
budget for it. So it's, what was the approximate cost?
We're going to be between that $980 to $1,200 range. So
There's still almost 1,000 left of 5,000, and then we're going, the rest of the remote system, the 700, that's what we're asking to be able to put into that if we could.
Yeah.
Since we already said, you guys had already approved 1,200, and it's only 500. And $35 a month instead of $98.
Shift that unused balance of the 1,200 over. Okay.
That's what, yeah.
Yep.
You have an opening date?
Well, quite honestly, we were hoping for around April 1, but I think Derek Marker is pouring the countertops, which is going to take a little bit longer. It's going to be super cool, and it's going to look super nice. And so I think to allow him the time that he's going to need, probably middle of April would probably be a great mark for us to shoot for.
File your taxes and come see him.
That's right.
We got lots of employees.
More importantly, do you have an opening movie?
No.
That's what we have to figure out.
That's what we're working on. The contracts to the studios have been filled out and sent back.
Each one looks like this.
Yeah,
We're getting close.
Every contract, and there's 12 of them.
they're extensive. So, but as soon as we know that, we'll be putting some information out there as to what we're going to open with. And,
Great.
okay, so. But anyway, so I thank you guys for your time and everything. And it's definitely moving forward now.
Yeah,
So,
it's getting close.
Yep, we're getting there.
Thanks.
Thanks, Heather.
Thank you for the update.
Mayor, I don't want to take credit for the work done over at SEMA West. It was definitely Drew and Andy and even Travis Heimsoth really stepped up, so I I can't take credit there, but I have to give credit where credit's due.
But you snapped the whip.
This is my notes. You just said maybe that.
All right, looks like we are at unfinished business item number 3, which is the economic health and development trends. Councilman Brits, do you have anything to?
Yes, I think we can give Candy credit for updating this chart. She's done it 2 months in a row. Thank you so very much. It's like our utility users are staying kind of flat in the short term. Enrollments at PCSD continue to go down for some reason. I haven't picked Corey's brains about that, but probably need to pick his brain a little bit and just see what he thinks is going on. Let's see here. On our commercial vacancies, I think I may be able to take Gaddy's off of there. That's good. That'll be interesting. Yeah. Let's see here. I did, Merlin and I called Merlin today to ask him, that's why he was talking about his comments from last month. I was like, help me understand where did you come up with I mean, those are really good, 2 pieces of metrics that are really good for economic health is, do you have employees? And do you have housing for those employees? And it is kind of odd, you can't find employees, which means the people that are, and you don't have any housing, so those that are living in the housing aren't working. Or not looking for work or whatever. Yeah.
They're already working. We don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm having trouble wrapping my head around it, honestly. But Merlin, I mean, we talked about, well, how would you measure that over a regular course of time? And so he mentioned that he talks to the folks at the workforce services here in town. He said roughly 200 openings.
Yeah, that's been a kind of the standard for the last 6 or 8 months is 200 jobs on the list. Yeah, Platte County.
Yeah, it's Platte County wide. Yes, Platte County wide. And then, so maybe we track that. Just a simple metric. The other one is relative to property available. I looked at 3 of the realtors' websites in town, and then I looked at Zillow, and they were pretty much the same 10 residential properties available for sale in Wheatland. Not, I didn't look at Platte County, but in Wheatland, 10. So, and then I've got some other stuff that I'm trying to put together for next meeting, a little more meat to the bone. I did do a little research on the economic development tax. I know that's probably not a tax is a 4-letter word, but I mean there's a process for it, and maybe I'll put together a little white paper and we can talk about it next month. But it'd be something that has to be on the ballot for next fall.
Come visit with me about that. I've got a lot of that information already developed from Goshen County.
Yes, that's right. Goshen County is the only one in the county that.
County has a half.
Passed it last year.
There you go. Okay. Well, I'd be an advocate, I think. Just gotta figure out how to sell it.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you from a personal standpoint, it's very difficult to hire employees right now. Very difficult. Just hired one, he's commuting from Cheyenne, because that's what we could get. Anyway. And he's looking for property now.
Looking for housing.
Yeah, exactly.
We have 4 that commute from Guernsey.
Yeah.
That work for the town, correct?
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Councilman Ritz. Moving on to new business item number 1. It says Parks and Recreation, Steve Pollock.
Steve Pollock. Yeah, I'm gonna turn it over to Jeremy Westerman. Was our
No, it says Steve right here. Steve.
He's here for questions. I'm Jeremy Westerman. If you don't know me, I'm the treasurer for Parks and Rec Board. So, we got together all of the Little League, softball, Legion, who am I forgetting? Travel teams, and had them come to our meeting 2 months ago, I think, and just said, okay, we know these fields need some work. We want to get some of this done. Some of it's safety issues, big kind of raises behind third base in the dirt that need kind of, and some broken backstops and some other stuff like that. That's kind of safety issue stuff. So we got a whole list of stuff. We then prioritized it into what needs done, the most and what can wait 3 or 4 years from now. And we're going to try and kind of go through and check that off the list to improve the fields for some of these guys. So when I just started as treasurer like a year and a half ago, you guys told us, hey, when it comes to capital projects, don't put that in a fund and come to us for budget. So that's why we're doing this. So, and we did have it in our budget at the bottom, kind of a little star from last year, like, hey, these things are coming up. This is what's going to be some capital. So did you guys get this? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. Good. So that's what we're kind of asking for. We're trying to do the labor. We're going to get the students and the teams and people out there and parents, and they volunteered, all sorts of equipment and stuff to help get that work done, and so that the labor can be basically free. So, but we do need the dirt, the soil stuff, and as you see on there, it ends up being close to over $13,000. So we're trying to do it as economically as we can. We're trying to make it safe. We're trying to make it so that these tournaments, when there's regionals or stuff like that, the teams want to come play here, and bring teams to the town of Wheatland and spend money here and stay in hotels and eat at the restaurants and all that stuff. So yeah, that's kind of what we're asking for. We're going to try and get it done this spring before the season starts. The fall might be an easier time to do it, but we think all these guys are going to be motivated now. So let's get it done now, even if the weather doesn't totally cooperate. So if we get this approved, we're going to set some days, just work days, and invite all those teams and their players to come out and put shovels on the ground and go nuts. So that's what we're looking for. I don't know, do you guys have stuff to add?
If I could add just a little bit to Jeremy's, part of the reason why we want to do these, in the spring prior to season starting is some of them are safety issues. Those lips on the Legion field, the lips on the softball field, somebody's going to take a ground ball, somebody's going to take one right in the eye, and that's an issue for us. So we'd like to get this stuff in here and get moving on it so we can get it set so it's ready for play once their season's open. The softball field is going to be a monster, and I'd love to find the people across the country in the athletic associations that set the girls softball season for this time of year, because it's tough to work on the fields because we have weather issues that we have to deal with. But that field we've worked it once, a couple of times already. This spring, with a little bit of TLC, we can have it ready and looking pretty nice by a week from Friday when they open the season at home.
And if you guys don't know, Curtis has some good expertise in all this stuff that we haven't had in the years past. So maintaining it and keeping it on a good path so that we don't have to do stuff like this, I think having him around is going to help a lot with that.
And because this number excuse me, this number kind of reflects, we're pretty far behind the curve.
Yeah.
I mean, this number won't be this lofty all the time. It'll be more of a maintenance figure instead of a get it back into shape figure.
And another thing too, just kind of chime in on that. We host a Legion tournament Memorial Weekend. It's a 15U and a 17U tournament. And right now we have Gillette coming, we have Riverton coming, Buffalo. We have some nicer towns that have nicer facilities that we want them to keep coming back. That brings like the Rivertons and the Buffaloes. They'll be in Gillette. They'll be staying at least one night. So we'll be putting money into our community, staying the night, eating at restaurants. So I hope that they continue that, where we're not having to just bring over Torrington, where they can drive back and forth and they're putting money into our community. So my thought is, when I go to tournaments as a coach, is I want to have nice things. I want to be on a nice field. I want to be in a nice town. And I think this is part of it. If we take care of our stuff, people will want to come back.
So you're trying to get this done before like the 15th of May.
Correct.
Any lead time issues with any of the material? It's all readily available. It's ready to.
It's all right, Steve.
Yeah, dirt is,
It's ready to go.
dirt is good and sod is good. We're right there.
We didn't wake you up, did we?
No.
No, I agree. Safety is a big factor on those fields. I've seen those fields. You know, being nice, having nice fields is great.
Absolutely.
You gotta have safe fields. You know, you have to.
One of the things that keeps them coming back is not just it looking nice, but they have their star center fielder that takes one in the eye and misses the next 4 or 5 games. That's going to make it so they don't want to come back.
Yeah.
So
Agree with that.
Yeah. Nice.
So we need a motion to amend the Parks and Rec budget, correct?
Well,
Or do we
Or
just,
do we have it in there now?
we don't have it in there now. They've zeroed out their budget.
Yeah.
So,
They spent it all.
Yeah. See,
All right. That's good. That's okay.
so I think we just need to approve
Approve
this,
it,
and
and
then
then-
next month we can do a budget amendment.
Why can't we do an amendment tonight?
Because we could do one for a motor pool also next month and do it all as.
she's foreshadowing more for you, Bill.
Well, I guess.
One question, Bill, would we be able to move forward?
Oh, yeah,
If
yeah.
we approve, okay.
Yeah, if we give you the go-ahead tonight, you can
Okay.
do what you need to do.
Okay,
We'll clean up the mess on our end.
perfect.
Promissory note.
You sign personally, Steve.
IOU.
I don't want to
Do
keep
it
that
at,
one.
one
It's for
budget and
Ferrari.
then take care of a couple issues also.
I guess from the financial side, what was showing Tony over here, just kind of we've added 1.1 million in cash to the general fund this year. We're only 60% of the way through. I know there's some things that haven't, and you're doing good on expenses, so I know the economy is very concerning, but I feel like $13,000 is not
No,
unreasonable at all.
No.
we could do that.
All right, I'll move to accept the $13,227 amendment to Parks and Recreation for field work.
Second.
Just call it that.
Thank you, guys.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? I would just make a side note that I remain as quiet as I could be about the issue because I have 2 kids involved with it, and I don't want any wrong personification. So I try to reserve my opinion, but yeah, there's definitely some safety issues that.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that, definitely.
And so, for the safety of my kids, I thank you guys as a council for listening to their seriousness of their request and approving them to move forward.
Need to vote on it.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion will carry.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I
Appreciate
do
it.
have a question though. Have you figured what the fields, the Legion field and the softball field, just those materials would run you? Not including the Little League fields, but just those two fields?
Just on,
For the dirt, for all the work that you need on the infield? I guess what I'm getting at, and I mentioned this before, is that, and I don't want to tell you guys how to do your job. I think you've already kind of thought about this, is maybe making those infields artificial somehow, down the line.
We did get quotes on that. Yeah,
that number's
just,
gonna
that number, just to do the infields on the softball and the Legion
Right.
field was $500,000.
Wow.
And
We got in our
there's
budget.
obviously some cost savings.
All right, we want to amend the amendment.
Yeah. We could probably save up to $150,000 by possibly getting the quarry in Guernsey to be able to get the base the way they need it. But that's just turfing it. That's leaving the mound dirt,
Right.
and that's leaving the pitcher's circle dirt. On the softball field, that's just the infields. That's not even touching the outfield yet.
And I don't think you'd want to do the outfield anyway because of water lines and stuff like that. But I was just curious to see if it was cost effective down the line.
Yeah, we're looking at $500,000 pretty easy.
Yeah, that's
I
pretty.
mean, it would pay itself off, $13,000 at a time.
Yeah.
Until you have to redo it.
Right. And that's the other piece is after 10 years, then that has to be replaced.
Is that like the football field where you see this, it's got that stuff in it?
Yeah.
I know Mr. Shepherd's a big supporter of softball. Maybe he can.
I like that blink. I like that blink, Marty. There was kind of.
You got some lagoon stuff out there, you know, maybe.
Oh, we were talking softball the other day.
We were.
Okay,
There's
thanks,
something
guys.
I could help with.
I just thought I'd ask.
I don't know that that's out of the question though either, Tony. I mean, from financially, I mean, the initial outlay is pretty high, but.
And when you replace it, you don't have to do that dirt work again. So
No.
I mean, that's the one little part that's a little bit cheaper.
And I would expect that we would get greater than a 10-year life out of ours. But that's kind of the going rate, as they say.
Okay.
That's how they sell it. They say, this is what it's gonna cost you for 10 years and what's it gonna cost you with the maintenance that you have right now for 10 years. You know,
the dirt that blows away.
yeah, the water and maintenance. And,
I'd be curious how much we spend on water a
everything
year.
else. You see a lot of communities go to it. Just about everybody that plays soccer in Wyoming has artificial surface, because they play in the spring and.
Yeah, you see football fields going that way too, high school football fields.
I know Beckett last year with the Lobos, it was either 2 or 3 out of town places was artificial all the way.
Cheyenne's got 2 fields.
Cheyenne
Gillette
and
has 2
Gillette.
fields. Well, Cheyenne has a bunch because they have a bunch of softball fields and 2 Legion fields. Gillette has a Legion field and probably 4 or 5 softball, Little League hybrid fields. Sheridan has it now. Douglas turned it down for some reason and got grass.
What, Glen Rock has football
Glen Rock
field?
has there's a bunch of football.
Southeast Yoder has football field.
Yeah.
I think would be nice is, like you say, find a large sponsor would be great. And I know Cheyenne, when they did theirs, I think they did Water Conservation District grant money to get some of theirs paid for.
I guess if I were you guys, I'd just, at a low level, try to do the business case for it. Just keep building it. I mean, sounds like there's a good comparative analysis between, okay, we got 12 years of a capital investment, amortized versus, what are you? I mean, I wouldn't put I wouldn't make it your number 1 project. You just think, it might be interesting.
Yeah.
Like it.
Just had to ask.
You did.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
All right.
Okay, moving on to new business item number 2 is the agreement with Wheatland Creek Property LLC. I believe you have that agreement in front of you. It wasn't in your packet, but it's in front of you on your table.
Got it in email.
And had it electronically, correct?
And I can tell you, it's gone through some reviews. Mr. Shepherd and Mr. had looked at it. They okayed it. We also sent it to LGLP, so because of the release, and they were okay with it. They wanted a couple little things like it runs with the land. It's added to the very bottom.
To the mortgage or to the?
To the land. If you look under successors and interest,
Right.
I added, in addition, the parties specifically agree this agreement shall be recorded in the office of the Platte County Clerk and run with the above described land. And that does make a little bit of a difference. I think successors probably take care of it, but LGLP wanted that added language. And then the subordination of the mortgage. I don't think that'll ever be an issue, but if it ever came up, they can cut your rights off by foreclosing the mortgage. It's not to say that that's going to happen here, but and the bank's approved it too. We've sent it to the bank.
So the subordination of the mortgage, does that apply item 4, release of liability? Wheatland Creek is releasing us, but the mortgage, the lender's also releasing?
They're not releasing us. They're just saying that if they foreclose, they've subordinated their mortgage to this. And then it would run, let's say they sold that property, it would run with the land to the successors that bought it.
I guess my concern is the lender owns the property.
The lender would be bound by this agreement.
That's what I want.
Yes.
I move to approve this agreement with Wheatland Creek Property.
I second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion will carry. You didn't have to work for that very hard, Marty.
Council members, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Weaver, Andy.
You've been good to us.
New business item number 3 is the added part of the agenda, which is the 2022 pavement maintenance project and notice of award.
We made this, last month, Josh Morris spoke to us a little bit about this. This does not have to be approved tonight. It was a last minute addition, so we can take it to next month. But he was just wanting, in case we could get it through, to come through. So this is for the seal coat and markings out at the runway, the airport. And so they put it out to bid for all the airports that were up for that this fiscal year. So that was 9 airports. So this straight stripe was the lowest overall bidder. And so that is who White Dot Aeronautics and TO Engineers recommends we move ahead with. Actually, I don't know that we have a choice.
I don't know why we'd want to put it off for a month. I mean, if it's there, it's there. That's what it is.
Agreed.
So take care of it.
Take care of it, Don. Take care of it.
So fire is a motion.
I as my motion to approve the pavement maintenance project 2022.
Awarded to straight
stripe. Awarded to straight stripe.
That's a tough name to say.
Straight Stripe Painting Incorporated.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The only announcement that I would make is we have a public information meeting for the Black Mountain electrical upgrades on, help me Candy, I'm looking for it. Is it Thursday, March 24th at 5:15 here? It's just a public information meeting. You should get a flyer, or there's flyers
It's in here.
available.
Just go out to the Black Mountain area?
Nope, we're gonna meet right here.
No, I said
The
just the
flyers.
flyers.
Oh, yes, we, Amy mailed them directly to Black Mountain residents.
Okay.
I don't know if all of them, but
They've
the
been
ones
sent- they-
definitely being.
They've been
checked.
sent out.
Okay.
We received.
Did you receive yours?
You got one?
And so,
And for anybody else.
anybody else, anybody can attend, but it's mainly, the engineers will be here to, explain why we're doing the project, the needs, the reasoning for it. Each property though is different, so they'll have, we can't handle everyone's questions all at once, but it'll be a general informational.
Understood.
And then the other announcement would be that the next regularly scheduled council meeting will be here at 7 PM on April 11th. Anything from anybody else? With no further business, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Very good, thank you.
Martin,
Yes.
I think you can come in